And welcome back. My next guest is Dominic Filippone, a U.S. Army veteran. Welcome, Dominic.
Thank you.
So, Dominic, delighted to have you on the program. I see you at a lot of different events, particularly Eagle Scout ceremonies and some American Legion events as well. And you've had a long history and involvement with the American Legion in Rockland County, and you're a Vietnam-era veteran. So I want to thank you for being on the show as my guest for this veteran segment. For the benefit of our viewers, let's talk a little bit about your background, where you were born, raised, et cetera.
Okay, I was born in Gioia Tauro, Italy. My family and I came over in 1956. I was 8 years old then. And we ended up in Hackensack for a short stay with my aunt, but it was kind of crowded, so we moved into Nyack. So have lived in Nyack most of my life, and parts of Orangetown. Mm-hmm.
So I know off camera you were telling me that you had moved into New Jersey, and it was really tight, quarters.
Yep.
You and your brother, I guess, up in the attic in a room.
Yeah, it was June that we came over from Italy, and it was very hot summer months, and we were up in an attic up there at my aunt's house, and it was kind of tight. 6 members of my family, so my aunt and Nyack had a larger area for us to live in, so we quickly moved.
Great. So you've lived in Rockland now for about 62 years, roughly.
Right.
And so tell me a little bit about those early days in Rockland County, for what you can remember, where you went to school, graduated, et cetera.
Yeah, I started up in Nyack. Liberty Street School isn't there any longer. It was right behind the post office. Junior high school, high school. I loved playing soccer, 4 years varsity. And we lived right close to Main Street on High Avenue. Mm-hmm. And my father worked for the Beehive and furniture place up there in Haverstraw. Mm-hmm. He was a carpenter. Mm-hmm. He could do anything with his hands in carpentry.
That's great. And so you graduated from, I guess, Nyack High School?
Nyack High School. And from there I went to Rockland Community College. And pretty much the time I was graduating, I was drafted. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I decided that rather than being in the draft, I'll choose where I want to go. So I signed up. Mm-hmm. I signed up into Special Forces.
So you signed up to be Special Forces in the U.S. Army. Roughly what year was that?
1969.
1969. So we were kind of in the height of the Vietnam War.
Yep.
So you enlisted in Special Forces. Tell me a little bit about your experience early on in the Army. You attained the rank of sergeant very quickly, right?
That's correct. Well, the Army was a little bit different for most of us, having to get mixed in with the Southern boys and the Northern boys, a little bit of roughing here and there, but we managed all right. I did well in the military because I had all the soccer training and I was physically fit. And so I signed up for Special Forces, and part of that is going to jump school. Mm-hmm. So you have to pass all these tests. You have to jump out of airplanes, a couple memorable experiences there. And then the training for Special Forces is approximately 1 year. Mm-hmm. There's different divisions of Special Forces. There's the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 10th, which is where I ended up. The 10th, there's a part of it is stationed in Germany, mm-hmm. and they are for that particular part of the world. And the part that I was in, Fort Devens, Massachusetts, was a backup for Germany. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was there doing, backing up for those people.
And tell me, you mentioned memorable experiences. So tell me, you had some memorable experiences jumping out of some airplanes. Let's talk about.
Well, the first time is always memorable. I think you have to have a sergeant with a size 13, 14 shoe to get you out of the plane. And then after that, it's best to be in the middle of the line because everybody's going out. Mm-hmm. So you can just go along with them. But there were a couple memorable experiences. Preparing for a water landing, which you don't usually do. We had to do that once when we had heavy rains and we jumped into farm fields, and there were little lakes per se. But one evening we jumped at midnight, and we were in training, so there wasn't any flares on the ground to show the airplane where they should drop off their cargo. 52 men. Well, it was midnight. We couldn't see the landing zone, and 52 men landed in trees. And you couldn't turn on a flashlight. You couldn't do anything. You had to get out of the tree all by yourself. And the funny part about it was 2 guys jumped out of a plane, went through their lines, and landed in a tree together. And I could slowly hear them swearing at each other in the tree. So that's always memorable.
And so, how long did you serve in the Army?
It was I signed up for 3 years. I got out a couple months early, so 3-year stint. You have to sign up for 3 years.
Right, and then so you served Vietnam era, and then tell me about your life after the Army. What happened then?
Well, I came out. I was living in Nyack. Met a young girl at RCC. I went back to RCC to continue my studies. I went to Empire State College, got a bachelor's degree, and so on. But I met a young lady, and we married, and went to Pearl River. Did a couple of things, and I started up my own paint decorating business in Pearl River for 14 years. Then the recession got me, and had a couple other positions, managing Pella Paint, managing an awning company for 14 years. I had a good run at management positions. I enjoyed it.
Great. And you also then got very involved with the American Legion. You were the past commander of the Rockland County American Legion, correct?
That's correct. One of my neighbors in Pearl River was a Hadler boy, and he was involved with the American Legion, and I used to go down to the hardware store, and he said, come on, join up, and I had joined up the Orangeburg American Legion. And after a few years, I got into a couple of the officer positions, and my predecessor, Ed Cardinelli, became the county commander, and I took up his spot as a post commander. And after a few more years, I became the county commander. And our main goal is to serve the community. With the American Legion, we try to take care of the orphans and widows and veterans, and then we have a few programs. We have the Boy Scout programs where we give them a medal and we commend them for their doings. And we have oratorical contests, Boy State, all things to get involved with the community.
I will frequently see you at, I try and get to as many Eagle Courts of Honor as possible.
Yeah.
You know.
It's appreciated to see the county supervisor and the town supervisors there, and you're there 99% of the time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, very, very much so. And I always appreciate, we usually sit at the same table. They put the vets and they put the elected officials at the same table. You know, just before the filming of this show, you weren't at it, but I was at one over at the New City Jewish Center recently for one of our Eagle Scouts from Clarkstown, and Maureen Moran was representing the Legion at that one. The Marine Corps League also will do some things, but it's really impressive what the American Legion does. I mean, not just it's not just the parades, which very, very often the American Legions will sponsor the Memorial Day parades. You know, right over here in New City, the New City American Legion Post, sponsors the parade for New City, and it's just that's great. You know, and it's an opportunity for people to go to the post, but it's really a place for veterans to kind of connect and be together. And I can tell you my experience. Not being a vet, although I've had a number of folks, you know, my father was a combat vet in Korea, and a couple of nephews were combat vets in Iraq and Afghanistan, uncles as well. But there's nothing like a vet connecting with a vet to have that shared experience, because it's an opportunity for them, and oftentimes, and we're seeing this with younger vets that are coming back. They'll respond best, and it'll help with their integration back into civilian life by the opportunity to connect, with another vet, and then those shared experiences that go on years and years and years. You're a Vietnam era vet, but there are guys that are coming back, and from Iraq and Afghanistan. They're going to feel more comfortable potentially speaking to you than they are speaking to somebody else, and it's through that human contact and interaction with vet to vet. And I was proud to be part of that at Rockland Independent Living, now Bridges, with the start of the Joseph P. Dwyer program here in Rockland County with the late Jerry Donnellan.
Right.
And I know that the American Legions have really been a part of that as well.
Yeah, I went through the
And you went
vet-to-vet
through-
program, and it's very good. It's very interesting. It gives you, an insight of how you're supposed to treat other people. Besides, yeah, you were in that group too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, if you meet someone that was in either airborne or in the company that you were with, it's almost like seeing your brother after 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a plus.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Dominic, how can folks get involved with the American Legion? I know you have to be a vet, or you can be a child of a vet, correct?
Yeah, for the American Legion, you have to be a veteran. You have to have served in certain years as per the Senate, and they make the regulations. They can contact me or Pat Casper, the new county commander, or any veteran that they see. Mm-hmm. Okay, they can belong to one of 14 posts throughout the county. They can do as much as they want to do with the post, or as little as they want to do. Mm-hmm. But being a member gives us more strength with the country when we tell them that this is what we do, and if we have to support a program, then they'll listen to us more than not, mm-hmm. because of the amount of people that we have. Okay, that's pretty much it.
And how would someone get in contact with you? What's the contact?
Well, my phone number, or you can look me up under American Legion. I'm sure
Great.
I'm there. Yeah.
So if they if a person's interested in learning about an American Legion post nearby, it's not just a building that you can rent out.
No, it's many things. Again, a lot of them have scholarships, mm-hmm. that they give to the local schools, or the Boy Scouts, a scholarship for the seniors, senior year of these kids, mm-hmm. and that's supporting the community. Right. Again, the oratorical contest, a couple of years ago we had a young lady go all the way to nationals.
Wow.
And that was fantastic. She was homeschooled, which was another
really
important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But wherever you're schooled, if you can do that well, you're doing fantastic.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Well, Dominic, I want to thank you. We're out of time, but I want to thank you for being a great guest. And, of course, I want to thank you for your service to our country in its hour of need during the Vietnam War, and for all your efforts in trying to work with other vets of the American Legion as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. And coming up, Captain Jeff Wanamaker from the Clarkstown Police Department. Stay tuned.